it'll be reviewed, of course, so you can't sneak anything in, but yeah, anything that's appropriate, we'll go ahead and I'm just trying to make an effort to consolidate like all of our tutorials in one place. And I know that the community builds a lot more tutorials than the lab can. Okay, so that was first announcement. Second, we're going to start with, let's see, let me switch the stream over to my web browser. It might take a moment, I think like 10 seconds or so. So I think this was actually put on the store before break, and this is Evo's visitor tracker script. I don't know how many people have used it yet. I put it in this scene today. Let's see. There we go. Give it one more second to update. There we go. So if anyone hasn't seen it, it's script on the store. He put screenshots in for how to set it up using his, also you have to have his database script. So you can set up the database and the visitor tracker and the commands all with one script. So you don't actually have to go get the database script, or do you have to have it, Evo?
It's included in the main script. Yeah.
Okay, that's what I thought. So yeah, so everything you need is pretty much in this one script. I have it in this scene currently, and let's see, I can do the today chart. So what I did was I just added, the latency will take a moment, I added chat commands just using Sansar simple scripts, and just did like, /today will send the today command. And what that'll do is, for me, it'll pop up a link in the browser. I think he also has an option for it to just show up on whatever media surface you have in the scene. And it gives you this cool graph. And so since I only published this morning, this is like the total visitors this scene has had. But also because this is an event scene, it probably will never get that many. But if you have a scene that's just like point of no return, or I don't know, the desert, you can track all your visitors. Do you want to talk about it at all, Evo, or does anyone have questions for Evo?
Yeah, I also made I recently put up on the store a box that basically has all the scripts pre-configured, so you just drop it in your scene, and you have the chat commands that's already like kind of like has access control to only you, so only you can call the command, and you can add other users to the list of access control, and basically, yeah, just plug and play, I called it. So basically,
Very
just
nice.
drop it in the scene and it already works.
Wow, so you took all the configuration out of it. Very nice.
Because I figured that a lot of people have, you have to deal with the database script and all that, and it's kind of like too many steps to just have it work.
I love you for simplifying it. That's always great. Yeah, you must have just posted this, because I think I was looking at new stuff a couple days ago. I didn't see this, so.
I think it was yesterday.
Nice.
Yep.
All right. We'll move on to the next thing I saw in the store, which it really wasn't under the scripting category, and I'm not sure if he's here today. He told me he was ill. This is Freelights. We have a few things here by Freelight today. We have the scoreboard behind me, which feel free to walk up to. If you press the green buttons in the back, it adds points to the scoreboard. If you press the yellow ones in the front, it'll subtract points. And of course, there's scripts that you can use, to do whatever, like trigger point adding from, like if you have like a soccer game and you hit a goal. And he has examples of what events you need to add for that for scripting. But just straight out of the box, you can drop it in the scene, and you can look at the configuration for all the simple scripts for these cubes. So you can pretty much deconstruct it yourself. And it just kind of works, just drag, drop, and build, and then modify. I'm sorry, I wish he was here today, but He's always around to answer questions for anything. I think
It's with you in spirit.
Yeah, he's with us in spirit. I told him I would show and tell as much as I could for him. I think this next one was probably my favorite, like getting to know and learn, was this LED board that's at the top above the media surface here. This one's really quite cool. It's cool to look at, but how it functions is also pretty cool. He has, I wish he was here to explain how it works. That's what I think all of us are dying to know. I'd love to see his code for, or even just a sample bit of code for how he got this to work. It looks like it probably took him a fair amount of time. But he does have a link to his GitHub with some sample scripts showing you how to send through scripting triggers to change messages. I think I think it takes a total of 5 or 6 different messages it can display. And those can be configured either through scripting with his script examples that he's put on GitHub. He's put an example of pre-entered text that you would know from your script. He also has an example of an interaction script where you can walk up to anything and touch it, and it'll pass the user agent info and put their name on the LED board. But he also has, if you just drag and drop the LED board in your scene, it just has examples that are pre-configured, and there's 2 different type of examples. There's one where it just starts playing, and you can just on the controller, I think I may even have it open. On the controller, you can, let me go ahead and open it in the edit world. Let's see. You go to the LED board. Oh, let me give the latency a minute to catch up.
While you're doing that, could I ask a question? This is Nichiren. Someone mentioned a database. I'm assuming that you're using scripting to interact with a database like a third party, like GoDaddy, or does Sansar allow you to create local native databases in here?
We have a very limited persistent storage API, and Evo created a database script to sort of enhance security and sort of our API is incredibly simple. You can create a table and you can store data in it and you can get data back, but it has no access controls. And the database tables, we don't check for collisions. So if I was to name a table like test database, and then you were to name a table test database, we'd have the same table. And so
they're randomized, the names. So
yeah.
There's no, it's not relational, there's nothing like that, it's just a basic table.
Key value pairs, yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
It's all global namespace too, so yeah.
Oh, okay.
You
That
wanna-
API, I could find that. I guess I can go look for it. I'm assuming it's documented. Thank you.
There's not a whole lot of documentation, but Evo did make a database script, which I can see if I can link you to his stuff. And that database script will help with name spacing. It helps being able to share your database with other people. So say you wanted to have a collective list of something. You have a group of people and you're all, I don't know, playing the same game, or I'm not sure, an access list possibly of admins to your scene. Maybe you have a group of people that you trust. So with Evo's database script, you can create a database and then share that table name, but it's still kind of secret, but everybody has their own access keys.
The idea is that you can give other scripts access to the database without revealing the actual key to the whole database. So they get access to they don't have keys to the kingdom, so to speak. If you just give them access to the database, they can't track. They can't extract the key from You just give them the name of the database and not the actual secret key. So.
And then interaction to like external databases, is that functional?
No,
I can do that.
It's using the persistence API. So it's just key value stores. So you just you give them. It's like basically the key to the database is like a namespace, kind of like a prefix to the key, and that prefix is secret. So you don't share that secret with the other scripts. You just give them the suffix, and then
that's the persistent local option. So I'll look into that. I don't mean to derail this conversation, but is there a way to do calls outside of Sansar to like a GoDaddy database and use my own PHP code and stuff like that, or is there no way of doing that? Oh, you can. Okay.
Yeah, we have an HTTP API. Go ahead, Maestro.
Oh, I was going to say the same thing.
All right.
For those that don't know, Maestro is our lead QA here.
I'll Chip and Sansar, but
Chip. Oh, sorry.
same person. Yeah, we've blended names. But
very helpful, thank you.
Yep, and don't worry about interrupting. Anyone that's new, that's really what this is for. This is like a conversational space. This is not like a class or anything, so I just try to lead the conversation as much as possible. So anytime you have questions or interruptions, just jump right in. That's perfectly okay. Sorry the latency today is so bad on the video screen. I think it's taking a total of 10 seconds to switch screens. It's usually not this bad. But yeah, I was just going to look back at the configuration on the LED controller. So he has ways to input just, if you just want a simple LED board without much fuss, you can just drop your messages right in, and like I did with this one, and it'll just cycle through the messages. I think he also had an example attached that had like a cube underneath that you could touch, and the interactions would change the messages. So he really did a good job like giving a lot of thorough examples on how to use it. And these little upside down question marks followed by numbers. He has like a system of how to color things. I think, like the colors of the rainbow, I think it starts with red, orange, yellow, green. And it goes all the way through, and then you have an upside down exclamation point followed by a number, and that affects the intensity of how bright the emissive will show up on the LED board. So I just really had so much fun playing with this. I probably played with it for close to an hour, which is an awesome thing when you have a new toy. And then lastly from Freelight today, we have this, and I don't really know that this is scripting so much, but I thought it was interesting, is these video screens that you see above here that are 4-way multiplexed. He has like instructions on how to set up your OBS to stream in a multiplex. And I will say he put in his documentation to do like 1024 by 720, and I just found that resolution to be kind of low. So I was able to do it with 1920 by 1080 and then just divide the screen by 960 by 540 in 4 different quadrants. So you can see in the middle screen, that's what my OBS setup looks like. And what it's streaming is 4 different browser windows, 4 different YouTube videos. And then you can see on the multiplex monitors, they're separated into 4 different monitors. So it's kind of like a cheap way to get more than one stream. And I think it works, with anything that our media surfaces can stream. It doesn't have to be YouTube or Twitch. His documentation is Twitch oriented, but this is YouTube that I'm streaming. So pretty much anything a browser can show. And lastly, for user-generated content is this awesome remote control camera drone. Oh, let me switch back to... The drones are on the 4 corners of our hangout area here. They're the boxes that are to the left and the right. You walk up to use them. You can walk up and click the activate button, and that's like the glowing button. It'll open up and it'll show you a little drone, and you click on that and you can fly it. And he's done a great job using YouTube to document things. So let's go ahead and watch one of his YouTubes, or at least part of it.
Hey, it's me Björn, and in this video I want to show you how
Let me,
to
hold
set
on,
up
let
the
me see if
drones
I can
that
get.
you can buy on my store. So, what you will
I
see
can't get the
when
volume.
you
Sorry about that.
bought
Let's
the
not do
drone
that.
from the store is this little package here, camera drone, and if you drop that in your scene like this, you can see it's a little bit in the floor.
Maybe I
You
can.
have to drag it up.
What if you just share the video URL? Maybe that would be.
Yeah. I figured out maybe a different way I can do this is. Yeah, you're right. I should probably just share the video URLs. So he has 2 videos. I'll drop them in nearby chat. They're also linked on his product listing page. But just kind of briefly, like you can go walk over and play with them. In order to get them to work, you touch that drone on the very top, and he did mention to me in chat that he was looking for feedback on usage. And I told him we'd have at least 4 of them in here today to battle test. I think we have 6. I have 2 more back on that back platform, way, way, way out there. One thing that I wish he had was like an interaction hint text when you're clicking on the drone, because it's kind of hard to know where to click. But essentially, you click that drone, and once you click it, it'll start flying. And the controls are on the num keypad. 9 lifts the drone up, 8 makes it go forward, 7 makes it go down. Or maybe I'm backwards on that. His documentation says the other way. I thought I was testing it to go up and down. 4, like the 2 sides, 4 and 6 will rotate left and right. 5 will do like a little flip. 1 and 3 also strafe left and right, and 2 makes it fly backwards. What you'll notice, 1 will reset the orientation if your drone gets sort of knocked sideways or something. Clicking the left mouse button fires like a little cannon, which is pretty awesome. And then up on the top of the keyboard, the normal number keys, 1 through 4, control changing camera modes. So 1 is like the default drone, 2 is like a different one. I think 3 he left open for you to assign, and 4 is your avatar camera view. And when you're done playing with it, you just click the activate button on the drone box again, and it'll park itself and detach from you. So yeah, I just had a lot of fun playing with these.
Nice. I actually had a similar script that I was going to show off here. It's very similar, but it's actually a ground vehicle. It's a little toy tank that shoots cannonballs, and you can shoot other tanks and destroy them.
Do you have a link? I can put it up.
Yeah, I've recorded a video. It's kind of long-winded, though. It's like 8 minutes long. Just showing off the kind of setup of it. After I recorded just before this meeting, and then watched the video and realized there are a lot of ums in it, so apologies for that.
Let me see if I can stream this with sound. I'm going to mute my actual microphone so we don't get a lot of echo.
Hey there, this is Chip from the Sansar QA team, and we'll show off a little scripting project of
Is there no audio?
It's super
Ah,
low.
shoot. It's really low.
It might be my fault. I can narrate. So basically, have this little toy tank set up. I don't know if we've got the toy tank available as an asset, but this is just a Sansar Studios thing. If you remember, there's similar vehicles in the home space. But I just took one of those vehicles, used its original collision shape, and then just added a camera component and audio component to it. And I've got it firing the original old school cannonballs. I just shrunk it down a bit. And basically this object is raised by the main chair that the user sits in, and then the chair takes care of spawning the tank, and actually have it using the camera API with the no control mode. So what you can do is just use the arrow keys to drive the tank around, and then I still have like F to fire. So it's pretty intuitive. because with a camera in that mode, your avatar doesn't walk around at the same time. And so, yeah, there's not much. Yeah, the physics shapes are pretty simple. That's what I'm saying in the video. We get to the main script, which is in the chair. So you see, there's just like one script for it. Has all the cluster parameters to res, and I purchased them off the shelf. Explosion effects, flames, and all the sound effects are from marketplace things. And there's some parameters for how fast to drive, and the locomotion's just setting linear and angular velocity based on the user input. And I've got it's setting the velocity every time you do a key press event, and there's also a timer which runs, so that if you say hold down the up key, it'll continue to drive at this continuous speed without being slowed by friction. And yeah, I don't know, I've got a lot of public parameters, probably more than you need, but set all the volume levels and whatnot. And probably fast forward a bit. Let's see it in action. Let's see.
So is this something that you plan on putting on the store, like kind of like the drone is, or selling as a whole experience?
I've set up an experience with it. There's some licensing issues with some of the sound resources, so I need to find some of them. Some of them are missing a license, so I literally can't sell it at all. I could probably provide the source for the script. It's pretty, it's not. I can do that much at least. And oh yeah, I've got the separate res platform object. It's a rigid body component, and that's handy to have as a parameter because it's just like a spawn point for the tank, so you can move it around wherever in the scene in the editor and not have to worry about setting up some special like global coordinates for it. So I found that's pretty handy, and like each script references its own launchpad. So yeah, you can see it in action. Verbose logging, just like I said, that as a boolean. Yeah, and then you drive around. It's a diesel engine sound and whatnot. Yeah, and whenever you fire a cannonball, it keeps track of the component ID that it hit, and if the component ID name that it hits matches the component ID name of the tank, then it'll send like a hit you message on that chat channel, and then all the tanks are listening to that chat channel, and it'll explode if they were got the message they were hit. Yeah, it's kind of fun. I'll drop a portal to a prettier scene. It's actually based on Cerberus's Desert Joyride object. So in that scene, I've got basically a few of these stations down in this underground bunker where all the avatars are imprisoned, and it spawns a tank up on the surface, and it's all free-for-all, six-way. So
Is it like Risk, where you fight each other to conquer land?
Yeah, I haven't gotten that far yet. Right now, it's just like one shot, one kill, and then after you're destroyed, you just kind of pop back to see yourself sitting in the chair, and you can sit down a second time to get a new tank and get revenge. Right now, it's just all you see is like you get a message when you killed somebody and stuff, and
Awesome.
yeah. So it's me running Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I thought you were gonna drop the portal. Like.
Oh yeah.
Wait? Can you wait until after we show the last
Oh,
thing?
of course, yeah. I was going to do it for sure at the end because everything's going to fall apart when I don't want to send people to different places. So here, let me show you destroying somebody. Oh yeah, also I mentioned at this point in the video, I'm using the materials API when you actually destroy the tank. So the actual drivable tank, I just set it to be invisible, but still leave it around and just have it the model rotate around. So you see this cool like camera around your crash tank, and this is the destroyed model, and this destroyed model slowly turns black over time. This is all off the shelf like flame effect with like cool lighting and sounds. So yeah, anyway, we don't really need to watch the rest of it. We can just try it out firsthand at the end.
That is really awesome. Can't wait to play with it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Let me...
Is the tank dynamic or keyframed?
It's dynamic. And I want it to be dynamic so it could run on kind of any terrain. Which, in this case, of course, I'm just using the base template plane, so I could probably, for this scene, you could probably get away with using like the mover API, but I really just wanted to be like rolling a tank over any scene. So yeah, it's kind of fun just trying out the new APIs. Encountered maybe a bug or two, but yeah, that's about all. We can try it out live later on.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing and bringing it.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
And as I mentioned before to anyone that might be new, this is not only like a time to ask questions, but if you have anything that you want to share, even if it's the day of, just bring the links and we'll talk about it and show it. So for today, that's all I had for user contributions. Actually, it looks like Freelight just showed up. Let me cover the two internal show and tells I have, and then we'll circle back with Freelight if anyone has questions about the stuff that we looked at of his. These are just like so much fun. I think Zephos, are you here? I saw you.
Yes, I am.
Okay, so I'm going to play your video.
Oh, yes, please.
I have two videos from Zephos, and these stabs that are in the videos are up here behind me, but let's hold off on trying them until we've had a minute to look at the videos. So first one, I'm going to try to pipe the sound through my mic.
Yo there, Zephos here with a no interactive object while working on the lightning special effect. I created the asset, so I figured I might as well use it in a fun interactive object that anyone can just pick up and go. And here's the lightning staff as a result. So the lightning staff, when you point it straight forward, or anywhere you see this, when you point it, sorry, it's kind of hard with the camera there, you'll see that it has that yellow dot there. And this is basically the cursor the lightning was striking. So to execute the lightning, press R. So we can turn around and just aim at the floor
The
like
video,
that.
from my perspective, doesn't seem to be moving, but
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can't see the video.
The yellow dot, you can summon
I could probably give a
lightning.
hands-on demonstration, the worst-case scenario, but
Yeah, I wonder the latency might be affecting this too. Like it's probably not going to be in sync for some reason. Okay, yeah, let's just do hands-on since they're here. Since we have Zephos and we have the wands. Come right up. Show us.
all right, so I mostly work in special effects, but I decided, since I created the assets for them, to create these elemental staffs. So I'll show the lightning one first. So these are very basic. Any user who just jumps in Sansar can build these entirely out of simple scripts. And all it really is a hotkey timed to a timed defense tied to a dispenser. So the lightning one, it will basically shoot lightning wherever you point it. Oop. That time a little high. The sound effects are bilateral, so I don't want to hit anyone by accident, but that's sort of what it was originally designed for. So each time you do it shoots a separate lightning strike. And each one's different because it kind of cycles between them using I'll type in the chat, the double arrow convention instead of just randomly picking them. The other one is also the flame staff. So I have to run and catch it before it runs away.
Oh, so sorry. I have no gravity in here.
No worries. I should adjust the friction on these. I should make them less friction. So this one behaves basically like the unholy child of a fire flower from Super Mario and a flamethrower. So fire. So this one I gotta be a bit careful about because these fireballs have density, so you can accidentally push people the wrong way. And this one's basically just a accidentally entirely. So when I first tested this, I took it to Toppleton Toy Town, basically just went and blew away everything. So they just use very basic, simple scripts, and most of the research for them went into the actual special effects and the sound effects. But thanks very much for watching. If anyone wants to try this, just pick them up and press R and you're ready to blast away. And that's it for the hands-on demonstration, I guess. So very basic, but they are a fun way of just playing around with, Master of the Elements.
Yeah, come on, you guys. You have to try them. They're really fun. I think at this point, like we've shown everything off. Now we have. I think I saw Freelight join. If anyone had questions for him, and just like open discussion and playtime.
Hello.
Hey, Freelight. Are you feeling better?
A little bit. Hanging in there.
Sorry you're sick.
Oh, it's okay.
I hope you feel better, Freelight. That's such an awesome LED board. We're looking at it for the possibility of even including it in future concerts. So thank you for creating this.
Oh, that's amazing. Thank you. Yeah, I want to do a flipbook version of it that's only one script.
Oh, that would be elegant. Yeah,
but I got to spend the time on it first,
Well, that's good to know.
A little bit.
Yeah. I appreciate your persistence because I know you've been putting up new store listings with the new versions, and I've been keeping an eye on that. So we've been internally upgrading it. I wish it was more convenient to update in place. Hopefully we'll have that in the future.
Yeah, that's okay. I just, I want it to be right, and there was a lot of times where I thought, oh, okay, it's perfect. And then a week later, I'm like, oh my God, there's a big problem. It was a 30-some pages of code, so...
I'm so curious about the code. I know you don't share your secrets, but I'm sure it was intense.
I'll tell you what, I got the Flipboard one done and we'll put it up there so people can see it. But this one was super confusing because of the separate scripts. But I think it's a great example of using reflection in here. So
yeah, I was showing your GitHub where you have like the reflective data at the top and stuff.
Yeah, it's hard to find something that you can actually use that with, isn't it? I mean, you're transferring basically unlimited variables between scripts with that. Mm-hmm. So you got to find something that needs many scripts to talk to each other,
Did you have problems with the different scripts, like initializing at different times, or?
Yeah, there's that, and the other issue is each one of those letters right now on this version, it's a mesh. On each spot, each letter, all those meshes are in there, and it's,
wow.
you don't have a hook to control. I would have to I don't know, it's confusing, but yeah, Flipbook's the way to go.
It looks gorgeous, though. It's really
it's pretty, but
beautiful.
It needs to be one script, right? That's my opinion. I want it to be one script so that it doesn't, we can have 50 people in there and who cares, right?
Yeah. Well, just time to optimize.
Yep. The Flipbook way, I know how to do it with just one script. So yeah, I can do much more with that. Anyways.
Yeah, I was actually able to, let me see if I can, the multiplex back.
Yeah. The thing with the multiplexing is if you don't have, you got to realize that you're using a lot of bandwidth to stream that. You're pulling in different videos each screen and then you're pushing it out all on your own modem. So if you're streaming other things on your computer and this, you may have trouble with OBS being able to stream all those things at once. So.
Well, go ahead.
I think it probably can't handle more than 7 or 8 streams at a time. So.
Well, and I noticed on your documentation you had said to set it to 1024 by 720, but my setup, which is like the buffering is so slow on this, it'll load in a second. I actually did use 1920 by 1080, and then I set each of the browser sizes to 960 by 540.
And they still fit?
Yeah, it still seems to fit, but I think also my source content was letterboxed already.
Yeah.
So I kind of just zoomed into it a little bit.
I kind of just picked that number because I knew it worked. You know what I mean? If someone wants to put something else in there, it's kind of on them if it fits or not.
Yeah. There was like a little bit of back and forth, like playing around with resizing things to get it to display kind of how I wanted.
Yeah. The other thing is I got it to run pretty smoothly for, I think, 2 days straight. by running that resolution with 10 or 15 FPS, but I haven't tested it for like days at a time, running nonstop with bigger resolution yet. With like it's all on OBS though, you know.
Right.
It's all on that program to determine how long it can do it before freezing up, you know. So.
Yeah, YouTube is showing me like there's a reason why things are buffering so slow, but I've never really. I'm not super advanced at OBS and streaming, so I'm not sure why things like that buffer was. That was at least a minute to change the screen.
Yeah, you can also right click on each one of those little things, little browser objects in OBS, and do like interact, so you can control each one of them in like a desktop too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so that's helpful. But
Oh, that is cool. So if it was an interactive page, I could click links and.
like if YouTube said, "Are you still watching?" you could right click that one in OBS to interact and click OK on that OK button.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's very cool.
Yeah, it's super helpful with this. I found it and I was like, okay, that works. So.
Yeah, the buffering is so bad at this point. It's like not even moving, but.
Yeah, we had this problem the other night trying this, and what I had to do is bring down the resolution and the frame rate to, you know, I think that's what it is.
That's probably what it is. So my saying 1920 by 1080 worked is not really true. I mean, it sort of works.
It would work if you and I both had way faster internet, like gig a second or something, you know. But I don't here, so.
I also wonder if it's YouTube versus Twitch or other services, if other ones are.
I think it's just pulling. You got to realize you're playing 4 videos at once, and then you're also streaming it back out.
Right.
I think it's just congestion, you know. But like I said, those settings, I don't know why, but they just worked, you know. So must have been the limit of the pipe, you know.
Mm-hmm. Well, I had a lot of fun. A lot of fun playing with this and the LED board.
Thanks. Yeah, you got it programmed. The LED board programmed at a pretty good speed for here. Like it just kind of twinkles. I like it.
That's actually pretty much just the default. So I just put in welcome to
Slowed it down a little bit. Yeah.
Scripting Office Hours, and that's about it.
Yeah.
But I did actually, you know, demo out the sample scripts that you gave in like a test scene, and.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you for putting so many good examples on how to use it.
Welcome.
Yeah, same with Cerberus. I don't think he's here today, but he did a really great job with his drones. Oh, you're here. Oh, okay. I don't know if you want to talk about your drones at all. I tried to play your videos, but the sound didn't come through for us, and obviously buffering is a problem today.
Yeah, that's no problem. And yeah, it's on the video link is also in the store, so if people are interested, they can just find it there and watch it. Yeah.
Yeah, the video gives you, I mean, if you just want to jump in and start, you can pretty much just drop it in your scene. And he placed like a demo droid in there for you to see how the droid is set up. And I was unclear from the video, like if you tinker with that droid, does it change the actual droid?
No, it won't. You will have to replace it. So you save that drone back to inventory if you have changed some settings there, and then you can just go into the box and there's a dispenser for the drone, and you just relink the new drone to it. So then you have the settings updated, so to say. Yeah.
Yeah, you made it just so nice to be able to tinker with and break it down, reverse engineer, and then of course making the videos to go along with it. Just really good job on that. And I encourage everyone to go play with them. There's 4 up here, and there's 2 in the very back of the scene. And if you don't want to walk to the back of the scene, the taxi will take you there.
They're seriously cool. It blew my mind.
Yeah, they're fun.
That looks amazing.
Yeah, I can imagine these at like one of our concerts or something, you know, like flying around, getting the overhead view of the performers.
Yeah,
and
exactly. That's perfect for that.
Mm-hmm. Like if I wasn't trying to be a good host right now, I'd be playing with them.
Yeah, that was genius to put that camera on it. Love it.
I'm sad I don't have a number pad on my keyboard.
Oh.
I know.
We need to send you one.
I do, however, have a feature request. I want to be able to program them so that they can fly on a specific path, maybe connecting waypoints or something.
Yeah, I don't know. That would be Evo's task then.
For sure.
I mean, like a waypoint script?
Yeah, to control the
could
drone.
patrol an area.
Yeah, you could just have an array of rigid body component parameters and just set those like physical waypoints that it tries to go near.
Yeah, or like a invisible collidable object. I think it wouldn't collide with it, wouldn't it?
Well, that should work pretty easy. Like we do it with the NPCs that we made before, and so that can just be also attached to the drone and make it fly to destinations that you predefine, so to say. Yeah.
That's awesome.
So if you have two drones and they're firing the rockets at each other, can they hit each other and like knock them off course and stuff?
They will collide, but there is no event for that happening. So the rockets, they have also like an event when they hit something, and that can then be hooked up to almost everything you wanted to do. So this was more for demonstration, so what's possible, and that people can like look inside of it and can see how the things are put together. And I was hoping it will motivate them to maybe try ideas like whatever they want to do with it. And so this is just a remote controller, so to say.
Yeah, that would be fun to like update it so that it could be like battle drones.
Yeah, they can also drop items, so you don't have to use them for battling. You can also just res something out there, just fly over a destination and then drop whatever, a crate or
a bomb.
T-shirt cannon.
Pina coladas.
I'm down.
That's the best. Pina coladas.
Wait, Serb, are you selling the scripts for that, or like the whole? Like, could I put it in a bird?
And you can I'm using there is done with mostly the set property script by Evo.
Okay.
And his animation script, so the combination of both. So I'm doing these examples more or less to show what the scripts can do, so what's possible with them. So you can get the script separate by Evo from the store. So.
I think I have it. Okay, awesome, perfect.
Mm-hmm.
So the key binding script, right?
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
I'm surprised not everyone's dying to play with the fire wand. Like, that's pretty much my favorite thing.
I am waiting.
Are those wands made for VR only?
They can be used in desktop as well now that we have IK cursors. So you have to kind of look down with your camera to aim them, but yes, they can be used in both desktop and VR. Before, you would always hold them straight up.
I had to look straight at the floor, and I couldn't see where I was aiming to shoot.
Yeah, I'm going to adjust that. The current ones have to be kind of held upwards, but realistically, you want to point forward where your cursor is. So it does make sense that I'm going to actually offset it so the grip is lower. But thank you for raising that. It is a good point, and I will be adjusting it in a future version of it.
Sweet.
Defos, do you want to
And
talk
these
a
are
bit about the
personal.
next
You can
one you're
buy
doing?
these on store.
Well, currently they're not available on the store. I want to complete the set first. And if you guys know your elements from RPGs, then you'll know what the third element will be. But that's what I'm currently working on right now.
Wind, water, or ice?
Nice.
Nice.
You know your elements, yeah.
Good going.
I should do a wind one now that you mention it too, actually. I know of a
Little
plausible way of
tornado.
doing it. Yeah.
Oh, that would be cool. Like
that'd be
wind
awesome.
could blow people out of the way. Or things or objects.
Yeah.
It'd be fun to have
Earth
sort
will
of
twist
force.
us.
huge boulders.
I can do that too, actually. Actually, I already have the assets for that. I should do that. It should be low-hanging fruit.
For earth element.
Yep. I aim to have about 4 of them, so 2 of those 3 will definitely be in the mix. If not, I'll have 3 of them.
Fire extinguisher. Be fun.
Actually, a fire extinguisher should be entirely possible. I should have actually the CO2 assets from it from something different. So just need to replace the fire with extinguishing CO2 instead, and that should do the trick.
So could you
What's up, Galileo?
the actual fireballs themselves? Could you add more events to them, like when they collide?
Yeah.
Or scripts so that say I had something that did catch on fire, like Chip's tanks.
Nikki, that's an awesome idea.
Yeah, originally they were scripted to have it so that when they collide with an object, they produce a separate flame, similar to the flame that was used for a tank. I ran into some issues with spamming that message too much to cause crashes, but it is possible. You can add like a collision script, make that collision dispense on impact, have that spawn something else. What I need to do is kind of control it so it doesn't, break, basically, though.
That would be pretty amazing. Yeah, I could see like how it would send a lot of script messages at once, though.
It's definitely something I want to do in a more stable version, though, because right now they're just kind of like Super Mario fireballs. They don't actually light anything on fire. They just kind of just shoot things and toss people around, basically.
Still fun.
Thank you very much.
So much fun.
It's always a balancing act between making something that's visually impressive and fun and not crashing Sansar, right? Because my earlier experiments, before I started doing things efficiently for Sansar, I used to create things that dispense objects at a 0.01 rate. It's like, yeah, that's going to hit the throttle. That's going to break something. Please don't do that. So now I have to be a little bit more responsible with the things I create.
Yeah, it's
Those
like
good tips.
in that crazy Christmas funplex for anyone who has seen that. Yeah, we made a number of people cry with the burrito fountain in that one.
It's internally used as a
good
unit
learnings.
of measurement now. Whenever we bring up something being a performance hit, we use burrito fountains as actually a unit of measurement.
Yeah, that will remind us.
Well, I was also curious when poking around through the scripts, the sound bank script. What is that? Do you mind talking about that?
Oh, that's awesome. I requested that from Spooky Man, our scripter, because I don't like, as a sound designer, when the sound's just repeating over and over as the same sound. So if you have several variations that are different sounds, that you have also a pitch and a loudness variation, I recommend this, because sound is such an important part of the story, especially with special effects. So he went ahead and created this. We synced on it, did it to spec, where you can just upload varieties of sounds that are related, and then it'll just choose between them. So with the lightning, the magic staffs, I created 6 variations for the lightning and the fireball effects. So each time you fire, it will pick a different one to keep things more interesting.
Wow, what's that called, Torley?
This one's not publicly available yet, but it's just called Soundbank. Internally, it's version 2 of that. And Spooky Man is also, he's current owner of the Simple Scripts, and he's looking at ways. We need a better validation process to accelerate and bring more of these innovations and share them with all of you, because there's a whole bunch of stuff we haven't had a chance or the time to really get out there. We need to kind of break it in internally and test it. But that's something where, for anyone, even if you're not that familiar with sound, but if you have several sounds you've bought from somewhere that are variations, it adds a lot of interest. It's better in that regard and replaces the simple sound script for use cases like that.
Yeah, I look forward to seeing it.
Yeah, please keep reminding us. But yeah, it's stuff like that, definitely, I think, such creative and wonderful, innovative usage, like beyond whatever we could imagine. I'd love to hear more great sound design in Sansar, personally.
Yeah, it adds polish to match our beautiful render.
Yeah, that's right. When people, they see something, I know it's environmentally unrealistic that with the lightning strike, you hear the thunderclap at the same time you see the lightning. It's not like, but it looks cool. Like it feels like, for the fictional world building, does it make sense? And I believe so.
Yeah, when I was making it, I tried to be scientifically accurate and have it delayed, but it didn't feel like impact. It felt like something was broken with the staff because the sound would happen later. So I decided, yes, science is great, but ignore it in this case because it's more awesome.
Yeah, when sound doesn't match, it really throws people off, even if you can't articulate it in language, because human physiology of how you calibrate your ears or perceive things in the stereo field or 360 around you, when something is unusually latent or unresponsive, even lags behind a fraction of a second, you'll feel something is off or not quite right. So things like transients, that refers to like the impact of a start of a sound, like a gunshot, like the crack at the beginning of that. That's really important to nail when you have things that are firing very quickly, very responsively. You want to feel it's tight. Same thing with weapon sound design in general.
but if lightning strikes right close to you, you do hear it instantaneously.
If you can get there and not die, sure.
If you're still hearing after
if
first
you're an
few seconds,
immortal,
that's probably a good thing.
yeah, as opposed to in the distance of 7 seconds or whatever it is. But yeah.
If you're still alive to notice, that's probably a good thing.
It happened in my neighborhood and killed half our electronics. It was quite amazing.
Oh, brutal.
Yeah, it's the crazy thing where people, because of watching Hollywood films, you hear certain sounds that are like eagles, for example. Eagles don't often sound like that. They've replaced them in movies with red-tailed hawks. They augment things. Gunshots are beefed up. There's a lot of stuff that a Hollywood romance, in fact, like all of that cinematic language is what they expect to see. It's not realistic. It's all edited, but hey, it doesn't feel right if it's not done that way because we're so accustomed to it in the culture.
Yeah, like that thing with cars not instantly exploding when they're turned upside down. Yeah.
That's another good one.
Or throwing a match on some gasoline.
Yeah. So it's an interesting thing to taking those metaphors in the Sansar when you're scripting, connecting them with audio and visual assets to see if it makes sense or feels good to someone ultimately.
And the rule of cool always wins, right? So even if it's not realistic, if it's cool, people will forgive you.
According to Grand Theft Auto, if you run into a gas station, everything explodes, and I was convinced of that for the longest time. Like, I was, like, scared to even go to a gas station. I was like, nope, I'm gonna die.
Yeah, I think I saw Mythbusters on throwing a cigarette on a pool of gasoline and
Just goes out.
yeah, essentially the cigarette just goes out.
Yeah. Same thing with like cell phones around gas pumps too. A lot of people were afraid about that. Turns out the chance of it happening is pretty much zero. So, but yeah, people still kind of think about it, right?
That's been busted too.
I've never heard of that one. Cell phones exploding a gas tank.
Whoever made the drone, I can't get it to fly, and my game crashed twice trying to get it to work.
I was just also testing it. They seem to be very slow now. I wonder if it's maybe because of the amount of people and the traffic.
I couldn't get it to work.
I think it's
I
the
can
amount
shoot
of
a missile,
people
that was
plus
it.
the scripts in here because a
Yes.
lot of stuff isn't working right.
Okay, let me stop the stream.
To be fair, my Sansar's been super weird all day. I don't know if that's just me.
It's been weird for
Maybe.
me too. I've been crashing a
so
lot.
I haven't.
Totally. I haven't
Okay.
been able to build. I might have to
I
put
can build, but I crash a lot, so I have to save a lot.
Yeah.
You crashed during build?
Yeah.
Yes, several times.
Yeah, lots. Lots.
What did it say? Did it give you any errors? Or
Robin, okay.
No, it crashed out
errors.
completely.
Just crash.
I'm gonna check that crash report to see what's.
Please do. Thank you. And actually, when I logged in for this, all of my settings had been reset, which was also super weird.
Yeah, mine did that too.
Okay, good. I'm glad I'm not the only one. Yeah.
I had to switch it back to 1980 by 10 or whatever those frame rates are.
Yeah, I had to go through all my
Resolutions.
settings and like flick it all back to how I like
Yeah.
it. Oh.
I was like, I did not change these.
I mean, sometimes weird things just happen, but yeah, I had to turn off my tutorial hints too. I was like, oh, God.
One thing, Cerberus, I guess I could add it possibly on the drone, like if there was an interaction hint for getting it started.
Right, yeah.
Because I never know what part is it I'm supposed to click. Is it just the main body?
Yeah, we also figured some things that we can optimize, so we will update these things also. We can get rid of a few scripts that are inside to make it even more performant. So Ivo had some cool, nice ideas for that, and yeah, we will see.
Oh yeah, the lag is pretty bad in here. It's probably just all the stuff I have in here. A lot of scripted things.
My frame rate's okay, but...
I switched to medium and it fixed everything for me.
Oh,
Stream
that's a
started
good point.
working and everything.
Oh, it just all kicked in.
Yep.
Oh, that's really weird.
Yep.
Who left?
A lot of
Hey, Robin.
Oh, it froze again. Okay. Oh, no, it's okay. Sorry.
Robin, I got a question about your crash. Were most of those on 4 days ago?
Yeah.
See a bunch from back then. Okay.
Mine are today, and
Okay. Yeah, I'll look that up too.
thank you.
When I was playing with the fireball staff before, was there any fire coming out of it? Because it didn't look like it from my point of view.
Earlier, there should have been fire coming out of it.
Wasn't paying attention.
I better check it out to see where it is now, to see if it broke. It'd be good testing if I found out if it broke.
I don't. Where did it go? Did someone steal it? Oh, there it is.
Right on the stage, Al. Just or
there we go.
See if anything comes out of it. Sometimes it does hit a spawn throttle, but it usually recovers after a bit. Oh,
yeah, I'm not seeing anything either.
Yeah, I'm not seeing it either.
Let me see if debug says anything.
Yeah, Chip, if you're still there, one of those crashes was so bad my whole computer went down with it.
Really?
Yep.
Okay, well, I probably don't see a crash report for that one. I'd imagine it probably failed to even produce it.
There should be a bunch, because there was a lot of it completely crashed out and Sansar was down, and then there was a couple of, I lost connection and ended up in my home space halfway through a build.
Yeah, I think we're just sending too many script events in this scene. I think that's what's happening between the drones and the stabs. And when I open the debugger, it's just flying by. The events are being sent and received. They're just...
Can I ask an event-related question?
Absolutely.
How many people, if somebody, like DJ Mafia, I looked ahead on the events page, and there's 1,400 people interested in going to his event. And I just raised a question, how many people can actually be together in a room like DJ Mafia's before the whole instance crashes?
It's very dependent on what's in the scene, basically. What is the room? How big is it? So it's not a one-to-one thing. And internally, when we host Sansar events, we sort of try to perf test the scene before the event to see how many people we can get in it without experiencing a degradation. I don't think we have the controls available to users, but to us, we have the ability to limit how many people can be in a scene. I think it's something we'd like to open up to users. I'm not sure if you have it yet.
If you have a scene like Mafia's and let's just say 1,400 people do decide to show up, are there multiple instances? I played Dungeons & Dragons online, and there's different instances of the same exact event that are going on.
Exactly. Yeah, that's exactly what we do. Okay. And I'm currently wrapping up an instance picker feature that should be shipping soon. Couple weeks probably.
So excited.
And it'll show you if an experience has 100 people in it, it's probably instanced into at least five different instances, because I think 20 is our default cap to create a new instance. So the new feature on the codex will allow you to pick a new instance or share your instance with your friends in case y'all get split up and you're like, oh, where are you? I'm over here.
I'm in instance 5.
Right. So we're going to give you the ability to copy paste the instance you're in to people and send it in chat, or drop a portal to another instance and everybody go to that instance, kind of thing.
That's a very timely topic. I was talking to BizDev about that yesterday as well, because we have been trying to do more internal tests to push the limits to see, as Bina mentioned, there's a lot of variables. We tried pushing the per instance limit to over 150 for a Sansar synthwave event not long ago. Lacey remembers this too, but yeah, it crashed really quickly. The cool thing though about that particular event was the texture memory. That's a big factor. So the textures of the world content was less than 500 megabytes. That's unusually low. And the scene itself was quite small, but it was somewhat disheartening that it toppled over so quickly, even with that. But at least it gave us sort of a reference point to go from. And so something we can do internally that's not available with the community yet is that we need to account for, first of all, how much texture memory the world is using, and then with the remainder of that, assuming that a typical graphics card will have 4 gigabytes of video RAM, we divide that remaining amount amongst so many users. So you end up with fuzzier looking textures, but at least it has the potential that when you have a whole bunch of people in there, that it could still load and keep doing texture thrashing. And notwithstanding other aspects like scripts malfunctioning or something like that. So we're going to keep trying stuff like that. And theoretically, I think stably, I've seen some tests where we usually have the standard is 50 concurrent per an instance, but I've seen 75 work okay.
Wow.
We've tried something like that for Monster Cat as well. Yeah. And something too that isn't yet available to users that we do internally is we do have what's called, some of you may be familiar with, it's called avatar broadcasting, where you have a broadcaster or a master instance where a performer is essentially streamed to all the clone instances that everyone else visits. And so you can see them, you can interact in text chat both ways, not voice chat though, unless you're megaphoned. That's the only exception to that. And so that allows for scalable concerts, and that's what we're aiming for with a number of concerts. But in some cases where you need bidirectional interactivity, it makes a lot more sense to try to test and maximize everyone in a single instance. So there's different use cases that we want to explore.
Well, totally, it's great that you guys are trying to push how many people can go in, but it's not great for anyone who wants to make a game. There are no games in the world that exist today that have 100 people in it, all playing the same game.
It's all
EVE Online does.
It's very like we said, it's all about the variables, and just
EVE Online is much different though.
Anything in software related, you have to test, iterate, figure out how much.
But we need the features to limit our experiences if we're going to make games. You cannot expect us to make a game that's going to handle 50 or 100 people.
Yeah. I agree.
We could then also make own lobbies, kind of, so where we first let them all meet, so to say, and then they can disappear in different instances if they want to.
Or
just
they
have
could
a game.
just
they
could just give us the control to limit our own experiences.
Right.
Yeah, it's like you build it or we build it at this point, right?
Well, if we build it, it probably won't happen, and people will just leave. If you guys do it, then people can make games.
You've been saying that a while, but I still see plenty of people around.
I mean, with the if we could at least define how many people can be, then we could create an own lobby. Like at the moment, it makes no sense.
How many
because,
games are here?
Yeah, because then people can still just like 4 people or whatever can play the game, and the others they would then just have to wait till it's finished. So we have no way of really limiting it in any ways.
Well, Matt, I actually created a nice cubicle retaining area, which you can allow users, if you have a game and you have 2 teams, only the teams can pass through to the field. Everybody else stays in the spectator.
Yeah, but then it's only the 4 people playing, while there could be maybe several instances running of the same game. So there would be still only be 4 people playing, but in different instances. So there could be more people playing at the same time. That's what I mean.
Yeah, you know what? That's good feedback. I don't think creating a brand new instance is part of V1 for the instance picker. So I'll ask today, why is it not part of it? And B, how much work would it be to add the ability just to create a brand new instance?
Yeah, I don't know how much impact it has on the servers or whatever. Maybe there's a problem. If a game creates then 50 instances, that might be maybe harder to do than just putting them in one.
Is that the point of the instances, though?
Yeah, normally, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you probably want to limit it somewhat because people just spawn up 1,000 instances, which gets kind of expensive from our end. Like a griefer type.
Or, well, I mean, it wouldn't actually create the instance until you joined, right? So it'd be like a...
I say it's a good problem to have.
Oh, okay, that'll be fine then.
I mean, if that's how we built it. I'll have to ask people. I don't really know the answers. Well, we did hit 11 a.m., so everyone's free to go. Thank you so much for coming. You're free to hang out, too, for as long as
Thank you so much for hosting, Bina. This is great.
Yeah, thanks.
Can we give her a round of applause? For real, this is great.
Yeah! Way to go, Bina. Thanks for bringing us together.
All the content was provided by all the folks here, so applause to them, too.
I learned a lot.
Yeah. And like I said, I'm going to work on updating that GitHub site. Hopefully for next time I'll have it updated. But in the meantime, if you have content you want me to post on that site, I'll set up the first page for you for free. So just send me in Discord links to your stuff. I think I already have Evo. I have some of Ari's videos. I have Cerberus's videos. I have some Lacey's Marvelous Designer videos. Be nice if do you know if Daisy's doing any YouTube videos for her Marvelous Designer stuff?
I think she's putting it out.
I'll have to just go searching for it.
You just put a new one on YouTube.
I saw Firegoat has some boning videos, so I'll go ahead and add those. Cool.
Be recording a few more. I'm just creating a new setup where I'm making my videos with Adobe Captivate now. And it's taking me a little while to get it so it's easier to create them. I mean, you create these videos, and 10 minutes in, you made a mistake. So, yeah, it's like, this is going to I make plenty when I'm recording, and it's like, I can't do that again. You know what? Adobe Captivate can make a video for YouTube just perfectly fine. So
go back
that's
and
what
cut
I've
out
been
the
working on.
mistakes.
I can cut out the mistakes. I can do them in smaller chunks. Because I use Adobe Captivate anyway to capture Sansar, and because there's a few other features it has in there as well, and so I'm just configuring it, setting it up so I can make videos a little bit easier and not spend all that time editing because I made one little tiny mistake.
Yeah, that's why I always thought writing the blog or like writing documentation is a little easier. It does take also a long time, but at least you have that like precision editing when you mess up. And if anybody else sees a mistake on GitHub, they can just do a pull request to fix it, and that also helps with documentation, writing, and stuff like that.
So yesterday was my first day in Sansar, and I did a lot of scripting in SL, but I haven't even. I mean, I've done some C# stuff in other fields. Does anybody have any links that maybe they could drop in the chat for like some good tutorial stuff to get started?
Yeah. So I mean, I can drop a few for scripting that Evo has a good, like, getting started. Like, these are all the links I was just talking about. Like, I wish I had the blog set up for you. But I have some links I can drop.
Yeah, if like right in the chat, and I can just, I can copy them out of there and kind of get started over the weekend looking at stuff.
So this is the main GitHub repo that our dear Leslie Linden made before he left. And this is probably the closest to like human language documentation we have for scripting, but it does stop at the API point where Leslie no longer worked at the company. I'm not on the scripting team. I have goals this year to try to learn more about the scripting API and that kind of stuff so I can be more useful in this area, but currently I just do UI, and people like Chip and Spooky Man are kind of like our in-house scripting experts at the moment. But always just drop questions in the Discord channel, the Pound Scripting, and people are always really happy to help.
Cool, right on.
Can we get this flashlight in our backpack?
Oh, it's a good question. I don't think we made that. Is that our
It needs
flashlight?
to be a normal item instead of the lightsaber for light. We should
Right.
walk around with a flashlight or a torch or something.
Let me look on the store. I don't think that's one of our items, so we'd have to create our own probably. But that's a good feedback. I'll take that back to product as well.
That would be cool to have, yeah.
Is Alex here? No, he's not here. Sometimes Alex is here. He's one of our product owners that Alex and Bowden, those two, kind of the heavy honchos that make the decisions about. I think Alex owns the backpack.
Yeah,
I recall we were considering a flashlight, but there was some technical reason at the time that we didn't include. I have to look into that, but it was one of the items that we originally were including in our lineup for consideration. It'll probably be integrated eventually, but I guess there's some reason right now that that's being bottlenecked.
Yeah, because we did have our artist had an optimized mesh for it, so the asset is
Oh,
an
yeah,
issue.
yeah,
And
that
as
was
long as
it.
there's not a
Yeah.
script issue, I mean, even the simple thing of if it turns on when you pick it up, it turns off when you drop it, that seems like it would be workable. I think we need to revisit that.
It could also add a
Doesn't
lot
have
to
to
the
be
lighting
scripted.
complexity if a lot of people use it at a party, so that might
That's
be
true.
dangerous.
Yeah. Turn off shadow
Oh, the
capture.
main, yeah.
But the lightsabers do have a light on them as well.
Yeah, the orange version
So-
specifically.
Yeah, even the metaphor
The
of a
range would
utility
be-
light, like a lantern, something that can help you illuminate or take photographs in a dark place that has usefulness.
Yeah, I just checked the store. This particular flashlight is Sergio De La Cruz's gaming flashlight.
It makes sense. He's got lots of dark and spooky hallways.
Master
of
horror,
anyone
Sansar.
to make a flashlight.
It's like, here, take this with you. You might need it. You think? Yeah, the first thing I did when we introduced the backpack is I went into Sergio's orphanage, and then I just took a bunch of glow sticks and put them everywhere and make the mood light there, basically, because the place is so spooky.
Yeah.
Like, everything's a lot less serious when there's glow sticks, yeah.
It does help brighten up a scene too. Like I think I've been like in Zero's caves before and just pulled out the lightsaber to light my way. I think he has.
Yeah,
torches
I've been
too.
doing that since I got here to illuminate everything. And then I saw that flashlight and I was like, oh man.
That is a nice addition.
So that flashlight, if we buy that online, that's just for world creation, right? You can't walk around with that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
It has to be a backpack item in order for people to take it to a different world and drag it out, unfortunately.
Okay.
Part of the longer term idea too with backpacks is eventually we would like to open that up so you can specify your own backpacks for your world and what is permissible like within the context of a game.
Yeah, they talked about that yesterday.
Yeah, the very cool thing that's I have my sound on. That I'm super excited about that I just learned about at the product meetup yesterday was like the scene scripting for avatars is going to be so cool. Like the ability to
Damn, Galileo, how are you moving like that?
synchronize dance and stuff. Oh, over in the corner, these little buttons over here change your speed. So you can go super fast, super slow, or normal.
It's 3 times faster if you're red.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, like the maximum is pretty fast.
Whoa!
Jumps really fast.
It's like Roadrunner. On slow motion speed.
Jump to the side.
That's kind of cool to be running in slow motion. It's really cinematic. It's like in Hollywood, whenever there's an explosion, you're like mandatory to run away from it really slowly.
That's why I did the chariot run on one of my beach places, where you run along the chariots of fire.
Oh yeah.
Sweet!
Chariots of Fire, the song that everyone knows but few people know who composed it.
And just for reference, these buttons are using Tiki's. There's a script on the store, Tiki's speed script.
Yeah.
Yeah, we need a Zack Snyder mode in Sansar. You get in a fight, everything slows down.
Bullet time.
Is this using the agent speed or?
Yep.
Yeah,
Setting
that's
everybody's
awesome.
individual
That's a
agent
fun
speed.
one. Love it. I bet it'd look even funnier if you had a small avatar.
Yeah.
DNA, go try it out.
It'd be funny to be a really small avatar and just run around really small so nobody can catch you.
Other one.
Slow down.
It'd be funny if there was actually an active dynamic voice processor that actually scaled your voice to your avatar size. That'd be really awkward, though.
Twirly, that's a feature request for you.
Yeah, with the Fmod middleware, is there a pitch changer? I have to look into that. I know sometimes when you glitch your microphone, like some USB microphones unintentionally, this happened with Zephos and me.
with my old
His
microphone,
voice,
yeah.
his pitch dropped down low. And the other day, I was going exploring with Sam, and he started sounding like this low-pitched demon. And then my voice to him sounded like Mickey Mouse. So we were hearing...
I wish I could have heard that.
Oh, I have a video recording somewhere. I had to capture it.
Yeah, it's like underwater talk, basically. It's
You get into some stuff like, what was that? Sci-fi movies where you have time dilation, like Interstellar, where you perceive things, distant planet. That stuff blows my mind.
I've seen a lot of like experiences that are broken up into other experiences, and it'd be cool like if you dove underwater and then that new experience set your audio in such a way that everything sounded like it was underwater.
Speaking of underwater, that is in the works, right? Being able to swim or adding volume.
I don't know about that.
I hadn't heard of that recently. I do know the closest thing I know with that is I had an earlier feature proposition. This is not in the works right now, but just like we have trigger volumes, it would be essentially audio volumes that would affect things a certain way when you're inside it or your camera is. So with like an underwater muffled effect, there would be a low pass filter that would roll off the high end, so everyone would sound kind of blurry. I always like the metaphor in some games when you're low on health and you take a lot of damage, then things do sound like that, or like Drunkle Vision in some Grand Theft Auto. It applies some sort of, a post-processing shader to it, and then you have an audio echo or reverb to it too. It's funny.
And with the current tech, it's basically like Mega Man underwater. You can slow the speed of a person running and falling underwater if you set like a designated collision volume, but unfortunately we can't give them like a unique swimming animation at the time, from what I understand. So, although we can alter the properties, we can't alter the animation of the avatar on demand.
But that is coming. That is on the horizon.
Oh, that's a good idea, Chip.
The ability to animate avatars in a scene that you own.
Yeah.
So if that's what you mean, like if you had a pool and people jump in and that jumping in implicitly starts to make them swim, that is coming, yeah.
Yeah, so you can do something similar to that, yeah.
Yeah, script triggered animations, or when you pick up something like a bat, you hold it more properly, or everyone on the dance floor is starting to do Macarena or something because the dance leader told them, or like Thriller, that I don't know, that viral video where the people in prison, they're all doing Thriller, that one always comes to mind with synchronized dancing.
That's coming soon, right? The ability to do that.
Yep. It's not the next release. It may not even be the one after that, but probably the one after that.
This year, in theory?
That one is being
soon, like in a month or
prioritized
so.
because it is totally tied to excitement with live events and how we emote and giving people more choices and accessibility to do that in both desktop and VR. And the improved emotes UI too. I'm very excited about that, Vina.
Looking forward to that, yeah.
Great stuff.
Anything to make emotes better is just, just extra sauce on every Sansar experience, right? Because everyone loves to emote, and it really makes things contextually more relevant.
Yeah, it's gotta feel natural. When your brain thinks you want to dance, and you can quickly do that instead of going through all the
it's like with clapping, right? When you're clapping in real life, it's spontaneous, but when you try to clap in Sansar, it's 2 clicks to get into the clapping, right? So it's kind of, by the time you get to the second click, you're not quite as, in the same mood as you were 2 clicks before, right? So
fully delayed reaction, yeah.
Well, that's also something maybe to mention with, I spoke with Cerberus, and I guess Alex had told Cerberus a long time ago, and most of the creators, that the number keys on the top, not the numpad, your normal numbers, 0 through 9 are now going to be hotkeys for your emotes, which is going to have an effect on anything that's also scripting, like key binding those. So for the first iteration, as soon as we release, if you, for instance, with the drones, like number 1 switches camera to drone camera, and say you have your dance number 1 attached to dance, you'll end up doing both of those things.
Is there not a difference between a number lock number 1 and a regular number 1?
Oh no, there is, yeah. But the regular, the non-numlock keys, those are going to be in our next release. Those are going to be hotkeys for your emotes.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. So anything that has a script tied to those num keys, not the numpad, the normal number keys, it's going to have a dual purpose. So the script event will fire, but you'll also be dancing. Whatever.
Thanks for the heads up on that, Bina. That's important because we're using the camera presets in some scenes like Monster Cats, where you can type a number, one of the numbers, and it switches to a different camera perspective. So you're going to be dancing while you're switching now.
Yeah. And I I think from Cerberus's conversation I had with him on Discord yesterday, if he's still here, if not, I'll speak for him. But he said that
Here, yeah.
yeah, he said the drone is configurable, so you can change those keys if you want.
Yeah. But then it would be cool if we maybe get some of the other keys available also. Like for now, we only, as far as I know, have like the numpad keys, the numbers, and I think, I don't know what was free, like R and F or something like that. But what's with the other letters? B, N, M, C? We have so many of them.
J, K, L.
They're highly guarded. Highly
Oh,
guarded.
no.
Alex, again, is the owner on those. So if you want to poke someone on Discord, it would be
He
Alex.
talked about it on Discord some time ago, and I suggested that he should have like an option to turn off like sensor functions. Like if you press Shift and the number 1 key, then it wouldn't play an emote, but it would be, but those keys would trigger the scripts.
That's a good idea.
And another thing that would be important, I wonder why we don't have that already, is why can't we use the stick inputs of the motion controllers? I mean, like in VR, things are way more fun, but we have no real way like to hook up some other controls than walking around with the characters. So, especially because if it's like the analog stick, you can maybe have like an input value there that you can read.
Yeah, it could definitely be nice. That could even apply to like Xbox controller and desktop mode. Variables,
exactly. That would be crazy cool.
Yeah, it shouldn't be too complicated to implement, right? Like it would just take over your controls, and then you could possibly even semi-fly around and stuff.
If we could do that and also then maybe have a way to just hide the avatar. I mean, we could already teleport him away, but if there would be a function for just saying like don't render avatar anymore, like take it out, we could create a complete own characters like giant battle mechs you can walk around and that replace the avatar or something like that. So we have with the physics simulation of the characters walking around what we're doing, we can already take them over, like the drone or whatever. And if we had like more control, like the inputs sticks, then we can make almost we could possibly almost make our own characters or whatever. And there we can then do whatever we want with.
Yeah, I agree. Like, have you spoken to Zayas about that, or Alex? Pardon me.
I brought it like up a few times at the meetings, but I don't know. Like,
As long as he was there, because he's really the one that owns that stuff.
Ivo is now already checking. I don't know if he's still doing it at the moment, but what we saw is it should be able to at least get the motion controller movement somehow, right? So there's I don't know. Ivo, are you still here?
Yeah, if you grab the object, basically you can track the position of the object and the rotation to know kind of where VR is holding their hand,
Yeah, at the moment the VR like possibilities are very limited, and I think the fun about VR is with these motion controllers, so that you can, I don't know, maybe like just with some gesture of the hand you can open doors or like do more cool things with it.
The only problem with my thing is that it's if there are a lot of people in the scene, because it's a loop that keeps on trying to get the coordinates.
Yeah.
It will not function as good when there are a lot of people there.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. I mean, the controls work. I think they even like have a high priority or whatever, because when you're in VR and you move your arms, your hands, they follow directly. So the motion is tracked already, like permanently. We just have no access to these coordinates. If we can just link it to whatever, like for example the drone, if I twist my wrist that the drone could tilt like sideways, I could really navigate it with just the motion controller input, so to say. And at the moment I haven't figured out a way if we can access it.
Yeah, but you also have to consider that if you have like this motion event sort of like thing